Hi everybody, this is Lars from CADCamStuff.com. Today we're going to look at some SolidWorks drawing tips and workarounds. For you guys who jumped in on YouTube, you will see down in the description area there's a link back to the blog post that kind of like came behind this. And this was all inspired by Matt Lorano from SolidWorks, who put up a forum post on the SolidWorks forum a while back asking users for what workarounds they're using in SolidWorks. So it's really neat, I think it's neat that SolidWorks is doing this, not just working on what they think could look cool in SolidWorks drawings, but actually, getting your guys' feedback. So there was a couple of things in there that kind of like inspired me to do this. So let's jump into SolidWorks and go through and look at some of these tips and workarounds. So I have this part here. It's just kind of like a pipe. If you think about it, if I just roll back here, it's just a pipe that has kind of like been cut to having a round here, and then I just added a couple of extra features on it. Well, if we go in to make a drawing of this, so let's go ahead and say make a drawing, and just select some kind of a template. It's going to open our drawings, and I'm just going to grab a front view here and drag that in. We're going to get a top view here too when it projects it up. There we go. And let's also do a side view here like that. All right. So one of the things that can happen is that we want to show maybe the radius of this here. And if you ever tried this, if I go up and try to make a smart dimension on this, you can risk that you get this error message here that says this, or warning message, the selected entities could not be converted into a line or arc. So this is kind of like the funny thing about SolidWorks. In one way, we always wanted to do exactly what we needed to do. But I mean, in the drawings, it's showing us what is the true, what it sees at that point, and not converting anything. There's, of course, different workarounds to that. Now, one of the ways to do this that I kind of like to use when I do drawings is I actually like to use this model items. Now I know a lot of people have maybe tried it and they have found that it really clutters a lot of things, but you can actually control that. We're going to go back to that a little bit later. But I hit model items and you can control different things over here just to be aware. So you can actually say, import items to all views. I uncheck that one and just throw them all on here. And you can see that this is a quick way to apply dimensions to a part. So this is actually the ones we used to create this part. So what you normally will have to do when you're working with these, maybe you want to clean some of these up. So I can take this one, delete this one, maybe I'll take this one, I'll delete this one. This one is actually the one I wanted, right? That radius for that arc. So you can see how I could bring that one up there. As a little tip, just in case you don't know, these two other ones here is actually the outer and inner diameter of the tube. If you use in SolidWorks, you can actually, if you hold down the shift key, you can actually take a dimension, you can drag it onto another drawings view. So you can see how I just dragged it down on the lower drawings view down here. So that's a little tip. So hold down the shift, you can actually drag them down there. But so in this case here, you will see that it brought in that radius that I wanted there. Now, one of the things that was in the forum post was, what if you want a center mark? Well, if I go up here and I click on a center mark here and try to insert a center mark, you will also see that I'm actually going to get this little center marks can only be created on arcs and circles. So the workaround in the blog post, or in the forum post, was to actually insert a 3-point arc. So that's sitting up here in the sketch toolbar up here. And in this way here, with that one selected, we can go in and we can select the 2 endpoints here, and I actually have mine, so if I type in a dimension, that radius will be in there too, so that one there. So I kind of like placed that one there. Now, just so you know, when it comes to in drawings, you can actually, on any annotations, you can right click on them, you can hide them. So that's just one of the things, because I already called the other one in. So now I have that sketch line, we can kind of like see it running across there, and I can use that one to insert my center marks. So let's click on that. And yay, there is my center mark. Now, that circle, I don't really want that circle in there. So I could actually right click on it. I cannot hide it, but I could delete it. But another thing I like to point out that I think that many people forget is that there is also layers inside SolidWorks. Any of you guys like me who used AutoCAD for many years, we use layers all the time. And in AutoCAD, we loved layers. But for many users, for some reason, including myself for the longest time, I felt like there were certain SolidWorks I couldn't use layers. Well, layers exist in SolidWorks. So if you click Change Layers, you can actually click on this one little here, this little tab here, and now it's actually opening up a layers box like we normally have worked with in AutoCAD. Why not use layers in SolidWorks too? So I'm going to rename this one Sketches. Right, this may be my sketches in here, and then of course I can turn those layers on and off. So now if we go in and we click on that line, we could just place that on layer sketches, right? And now it's not deleted, so it's still there. You can also bring that layer toolbar up by right clicking and go down here, and you can actually bring up that layer box again, just so you know. So we can control what layers we're working with just that way there. So let me put it back on layer 4 here. All right, so that was a little tip on how you pretty quickly can get the center marks in there. So I work around that. Another thing that was in there was on detail views. So if you're like me, you really like to use detail views, and detail views in SolidWorks is pretty standard. You can go in here, I can kind of like sketch a circle, and this here is going to be my detail view, right? So my detail view come up, I'm going to place it up here, and let me just clean that up because that's going to drive me nuts if that A is sitting in the middle of the part, right? So move that over. All right. Now again, when it comes to dimensions in here, I could just go up to my annotation and model items, and again, if I place this view here, I will get some of the dimensions from my part when I create it from my part model. But one of the things I want to show here is for shortened dimensions, because that's many times, you know, a way you need to work with things. Well, in SolidWorks, you know, you cannot show the for shortened dimensions unless that you actually have both ends of the part, and there's some debate about ANC and not ANC requirements. But I thought there was a guy who put it very clever in this forum thread when he said that, well, you know, ANC standard or not, you know, if the boss want to see it, then it doesn't matter what the ANC standard is. So here's a neat trick with SolidWorks. Let me just exit out of this. Here's a neat trick with the foreshortened dimensions, and that is if I go down here and I grab that detailed circle down here again and just make it big, you know, and I was holding the whole part, and we go back again into model items, and we select that drawing view. Now we see we get them all again, right? And including a couple of these. Now check this out. We're going to hit the green check mark to this. If I go back and I grab that detailed circle and make it small again, look what happens. The dimension stays. Now the diameter dimensions actually knows that they are now foreshortened. So if you wanted to show those on your detail view, that is great. They show that little thing there. But our linear dimension don't. That's the one we're going to concentrate on. So let me just delete the two radiuses here because we don't want those. And let's look at these two linear dimensions. Now there's a couple of tricks to this. First off, I'm going to go over and I'm going to right click on this line over here. And when I right click on that line, I have hide extension line. I'm going to click on that. See, in SolidWorks, there's a lot of right clicks, right? Remember that if there's something you can't find, you can right click. I'm going to do that on the next one on here too. Right click, and I'm going to say hide extension line. So I kind of like hide that extension line. But there's another trick, and that is we can right click on this here, and we can say hide dimension line. And now you see how it kind of like takes this away here. Hide dimension line. And in this way here, we're kind of like showing those extensions. And the great thing about these is, of course, that these values are parametric. What means that if I go back to my model and change the length, they will update. So this could be one way to show it. Now there is one more trick inside SolidWorks, because the foreshortened dimensions, many people like to show it with double arrows. And by default, SolidWorks can't do that, but there's a workaround. So again, to get the workaround, Matt Lorano had a blog post about how to do that, how to set this up. So let me show you what it is. So it's maybe not perfect, but at least it will get the job done, right? If the boss is there and you want double arrows on your leaders. So I go in and create a node, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and select add a symbol over here. And if I go into add a symbol, you will see that down here I actually have foreshortened arrows. And what I have is I have 4 different options for foreshortened arrows, where they're pointing to the right, to the left, up, and down. So I'm just going to select the left one here and hit OK. And what these foreshortened arrow comes in as is as kind of like a note utility. I'm going to place 2 of these. Okay, so this is a way that you can kind of like show them. So what we can do is we can also right click on this line here and say hide dimension line, and then I can just take this one and I can kind of like drag it down and place. Now this dimension is still true. The dimensions, this 174 still works as a dimension, so I can just kind of like correct that. And again, I can go down here and I can right click here on this one and say, you can see I could actually turn some of them back on again. But I can say hide dimension line and drag this one down to this one here, and then you can actually, we can take this dimension and adjust a little bit. And again, now we kind of like show it as many companies want to show shorten dimension lines is this way. So that's kind of like a little bit of a workaround, but it works, right? Now you got those showing there, and again, these numbers here will be a parametric updating on our model. So I think that's pretty neat. Now again, if you go and click down in the description of the YouTube video, it will take you back to the blog post, and in the blog post down in the end, I have links to how to get these, because you gotta kind of like go in. It takes 5 minutes to do to kind of like get these double arrows, just so you know. Now another thing I wanted to show though was going back to this model item. I talked about how many people maybe have tried it once and found out that they really got a lot of dimensions when they used this function with the model items. One of the things that is important to know is that when I use it on, for example, this drawing view again here, if I just uncheck this and select this drawing view, now you'll see I only again get these because I haven't placed them anywhere. But you will actually see that I don't get any dimensions in regards to this cutout I made here. And the reason for that is because you can control what this model item is actually using. If I go back to my model here, that is actually the last cut I have here. If I go in and edit the sketch, let me just go normal too, you will see that my dimensions are not black, they're actually purple. And you would have thought that if I use model items that these dimensions should have showed up. Well, the reason they're not showing up is that when you insert a dimension inside SolidWorks and you have this little dialog box, by default this little button is pushed in, and that is that button that controls what is showed up and not showed up. So what I had done, now you see that it will turn black because now they will show up inside the model items in my drawing. Okay, so now you will actually see that this one is going to show up. If I go back, let me just exit out of the sketch here. Oops, exit out of the sketch. And now if we go back to our drawing and we insert it again, now you see it show up. So that's one way you can kind of like control what show up and don't show up. So I hope that that's a neat little trick too. But that was just a couple of tips on how you can do a couple of things inside SolidWorks when it comes to working around the drawings. Some tips and tricks on that. I hope you found this helpful. There's definitely you know, a lot of other things inside drawings. But if you go down to the description in the YouTube video and you go back to the CAD/CAM stuff blog post, there's a link to the forum post, so you can go in and read it. Come up with your own. There's things we can, you know, if there's something you want to see, let me know. We can definitely explore it deeper. So I hope you found this helpful. I hope you have a fantastic day. And from CADCamstuff.com, a couple of SolidWorks drawing tips and workarounds. I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you.